welcome to the Deep Dive. It's really great to have you with us today.
Yeah, good to be here.
And a special welcome if you're tuning in from Reading Cowboy's YouTube channel. Fantastic to have you join us.
Absolutely.
You know, you've probably had a moment just recently, maybe today even, where you interacted with AI, didn't even perhaps realize it fully.
Right. It's becoming that seamless.
Exactly. Perhaps you asked Siri or your phone assistant a really complex question. Or maybe you used one of those generative AI tools, to help draft a tricky email or brainstorm some ideas for a project.
Yeah, they're incredibly useful for that kind of thing.
It's truly incredible, isn't it? Almost feels like a touch of magic sometimes, what these systems can do now. They make our lives easier, our work potentially more efficient.
Definitely.
But, and this is the big but, with all this incredible capability, well, there comes a responsibility, doesn't there? To understand the full scope.
That's the crucial part, understanding what's under the hood, so to speak.
Okay, so let's try and unpack this a bit. We're witnessing AI integrating into, nearly every facet of our lives now.
It's pretty pervasive.
From personalized recommendations online, writing assistants, powering sophisticated self-driving vehicles, even medical diagnostics. It's an era of just unprecedented technological advancement.
It really is moving at an astonishing pace.
But like any really powerful tool, there's always that flip side, isn't there?
Always.
Beyond the dazzling capabilities, the stuff that gets all the headlines, there are significant potential dangers, challenges we absolutely need to confront.
We can't ignore them.
And maybe more importantly, how do we, as individuals just navigating this rapidly changing world, how do we learn to interact with AI safely, smartly, ethically, in our daily lives, both personally and professionally, too?
And that's really what's fascinating here. Because while the benefits are, they're undeniably clear, think about the acceleration in discovering new drugs.
Right.
Or developing really innovative climate solutions, or even enhancing wildlife conservation efforts. Things that really matter.
Absolutely.
But we just cannot afford to ignore the potential pitfalls. So this deep dive today, it's all about understanding those pitfalls, kind of cutting through the hype and maybe some of the fear too.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
And equipping you, the listener, with practical, actionable strategies to manage them effectively. Our goal isn't to alarm you, not at all. It's really to inform and empower you.
That's precisely our mission for this deep dive. We want to give you a clear, sort of easy to understand roadmap to the actual risks of AI. Not the sci-fi stuff, the real stuff.
Right, the practical implications.
And then crucially, give you those actionable tips, things you can implement, pretty much immediately. We're aiming for you to walk away from this discussion, not just well-informed,
Which is important.
but genuinely ready to leverage AI's power responsibly in your own life. Feeling more in control, maybe a bit less overwhelmed by this incredible new frontier.
That's the goal. Empowered understanding.
Okay, now let's jump right into understanding what we're calling the dual nature of AI. Its power and potential perils. It's incredibly easy and honestly quite exciting.
It is exciting.
To get swept up in the sci-fi aspects of AI, when you consider its potential, it really does feel boundless sometimes.
Limitless possibilities seem to be opening up.
The IBM source we looked at highlights some truly inspiring applications. Imagine AI helping doctors discover novel drugs or screen diseases with just astonishing accuracy.
Game-changing for healthcare.
Potentially revolutionizing healthcare, saving countless lives. Think about its deployment in tackling these massive global challenges like climate change, aiding in the conservation of endangered wildlife, protecting critical biodiversity. These aren't just, futuristic dreams anymore.
Wow, this is happening now.
These are present-day applications showing AI as a profound force for good in the world.
It truly is inspiring to see that side of AI. But as you said, like any immensely powerful tool, understanding its full scope means we absolutely have to look at both sides of the coin.
Right.
The same sophisticated technology, with all its immense promise, can also, unfortunately, yield harmful outcomes. This is what we sometimes refer to as the shadow side of AI. And it's a reality we just have to acknowledge and address. This inherent duality, this tension, it's precisely why some of the very pioneers, the leading figures in AI.
People who built it.
Exactly. The people who dedicated their lives to building these systems, why they're now sounding the alarm with such strong concerns.
That's a huge statement, isn't it? when the godfather of AI himself, Geoffrey Hinton, who, for those maybe less familiar, is just renowned for his foundational work on machine learning, neural networks.
Absolutely fundamental work.
When he left his high-profile position at Google specifically to speak out about AI dangers, even expressing, some regret for his life's work.
Which must have been incredibly difficult.
It's serious then. It's not just some distant tech skeptic. It's someone right at the very heart of its creation.
Indeed. And Hinton is far from alone in this. In 2023, we saw Elon Musk, alongside, over 1,000 other tech leaders.
Yeah, a huge number.
Sign an open letter calling for an immediate 6-month pause on large AI experiments. Their reasoning, they cited profound risks to society and humanity if these really powerful systems aren't developed with far more caution and deliberate thought.
Pausing the race, basically.
Trying to check the brakes, yes. And even a moral authority like Pope Francis has weighed in, warning against AI misuse, the spread of disinformation, the potential for election interference.
Right.
He's even urged for an international treaty to regulate its development and use. What's fascinating here, and really critically important for you to grasp, is why these architects of our AI future are expressing such strong concerns.
Yeah, why?
It's because the transformative power of AI also brings these unprecedented and incredibly complex risks that just demand our immediate attention and proactive management. It's not about stifling innovation.
No one wants that.
But it's about guiding it responsibly, with our eyes wide open to the full spectrum of its impacts, good and bad.
That's a truly sobering thought, isn't it? That the brilliant minds creating this future are also the ones highlighting its potential pitfalls. So, okay, to give you, our listeners, a clearer roadmap for what we're going to dive into next, we'll be breaking down these risks into several key categories.
Good idea. Structure helps.
We'll start by exploring the profound ethical and societal risks. This includes issues like algorithmic bias, which we hear a lot about, data privacy concerns, and the spread of misinformation.
All huge topics in themselves.
Then we'll move into the operational and environmental risks, covering things like cybersecurity vulnerabilities, AI's significant energy and water consumption, which often gets missed, and complex intellectual property challenges.
Right, the practical and physical side.
Following that, we'll examine the human and economic risks. This encompasses AI's impact on jobs, a big one for many people, the crucial question of accountability, and the challenge of explainability in AI decisions. The black box problem.
Understanding the why.
Yeah. And finally, we'll briefly touch on the more long-term, even existential risks that some, like Geoffrey Hinton, are seriously contemplating now. This comprehensive overview, hopefully, ensures you'll have a holistic understanding of what's truly at stake.
And crucially, what you can do about it.
Exactly. And crucially, what actionable steps you can take.
Right.
All right, let's transition now into our second segment, navigating AI's ethical minefield, what you need to know and do. This is where we get into some truly practical insights for your daily life.
Okay, let's dig in.
We're going to kick off with one of the most widely discussed and frankly impactful issues, bias and discrimination, the undeniable human fingerprint in AI. Now, this might sound technically complicated, but the core idea is actually quite simple.
It is, fundamentally.
And it's something we can all grasp. AI systems learn from the data they're fed. That's how they work.
That's the input.
And we humans, well, we are inherently biased. It's part of being human, unfortunately. So if that training data reflects our existing biases, what KPMG refers to as historical bias, then the AI will unfortunately not only perpetuate but often amplify these biases.
It acts like a magnifying glass for bias sometimes.
Leading to what IBM, KPMG, and built-in sources all call skewed outcomes and discriminatory outcomes. Think of it like this. If you teach a child using a biased textbook,
yeah, good analogy,
they're going to reflect those biases in their understanding of the world. AI acts as a sophisticated, yet often uncritical mirror.
Precisely. The AI itself isn't malicious, right? It doesn't have intent in that human way.
Right.
It's a reflection, a sophisticated echo chamber of the data it's trained on. And we see this play out in stark, often deeply unfair, real-world examples.
Can you give us some of those to make it concrete?
Sure. Imagine applicant tracking systems, software designed to streamline hiring. They can inadvertently discriminate against certain genders or racial groups.
Simply because the historical hiring data they were trained on favored one demographic over others in the past. Or healthcare diagnostic tools that consistently return lower accuracy for historically underserved populations.
Why would that happen?
Because the training data just didn't adequately represent those groups. The AI literally hasn't seen enough examples.
Wow.
We've seen predictive policing tools disproportionately targeting marginalized communities, not because of current crime necessarily, but because past arrest data, which might itself be biased.
Right, influenced by past practices.
Is what the AI learned from. And facial recognition systems, a big one. If they're primarily trained on, say, lighter-skinned individuals, they can lead to significant discriminatory outcomes for others. KPMG notes this specifically.
So false matches or failures to identify.
Exactly. Even in financial decisions, AI used in loan approvals has been shown to discriminate based on factors like race or income, even when those factors aren't explicitly programmed in.
How does that happen then, if it's not explicit? Because other data points like postcode, maybe, or shopping habits can act as proxies for race or income. And the AI learns those correlations from the data, even if unintentionally. It's not just about what the AI sees in the data, but critically what it doesn't see or what it misinterprets due to incomplete, unrepresentative, or just outright biased data sets.
And it goes even deeper, doesn't it? I read that the problem isn't solely confined to the data itself. It often originates from who is actually developing the AI in the first place.
That's a really crucial point, yes. Olga Rusakovsky, a computer science professor at Princeton, highlighted this issue, as mentioned in the built-in source.
What did she find?
She points out that AI researchers are overwhelmingly male, typically from certain racial demographics, often higher socioeconomic areas, and frequently without disabilities. This creates a deeply homogeneous developer population.
So, a lack of diverse perspectives building the tech.
Exactly. And that fosters a very narrow view of the world, inherently. This narrowness makes it incredibly challenging to anticipate and address the diverse needs and potential harms across a global heterogeneous population.
Can you give an example of that narrowness in action?
Consider this staggering fact. Out of the world's approximately 7,000 natural languages, only about 100 are used to train the top chatbots. Just 100.
Wow, that's tiny.
Furthermore, a remarkable 90% of online higher education materials originate from the EU and North America. This severely restricts the data predominantly to Western sources.
And the consequence?
Well, it can lead to frustrating issues like speech recognition AI failing to understand certain dialects and accents, or cultural nuances being completely missed. It's a vast blind spot that unfortunately perpetuates existing inequities.
Okay, so this is clearly a complex problem with deep roots.
Indeed. And this isn't merely a developer's technical challenge to fix with better code. It's a systemic societal issue that ultimately impacts everyone, regardless of whether you think you directly interact with AI or not.
So for you, the listener, hearing all this, what's the takeaway? What should you be doing?
When you interact with any AI system, the key is to be critically aware of its potential for bias. Don't just accept its outputs blindly.
Question it.
Yes. When an AI offers a recommendation, makes a prediction, or renders a decision, especially in sensitive areas like your finances, your health, maybe even a job application, question its results.
Don't just assume it's objective because it's a computer.
Absolutely not. If something feels off, if it feels unfair, or if you suspect it might be overlooking a crucial piece of context, challenge it. This isn't about being paranoid. It's about adopting an active, discerning mindset.
How do you do that practically?
Ask yourself simple questions. Who might be excluded or disadvantaged by this AI's outplan? Or what voices or perspectives might be missing from the data it was trained on? That kind of critical questioning is really your first line of defense.
That's a powerful mental model, asking who might be missing. So, beyond our individual awareness, which is vital, what should organizations and governments be doing? How do they build in fairness from the ground up and keep checking these systems?
That's where systemic solutions come in. For organizations, it's absolutely imperative to establish robust AI governance strategies.
What does that involve?
It means comprehensive frameworks, clear policies, defined processes for responsible development and deployment. Promoting fairness requires a multi-pronged approach.
Gosh, yes.
Ensuring representative training data, actively seeking diverse data. Fostering diverse development teams, getting those different perspectives in the room. Utilizing fairness metrics to actually measure performance across different demographic groups.
So not just assuming it's fair, but testing it.
Exactly. And incorporating strong human oversight through dedicated AI ethics review boards or similar bodies. There must be bias mitigation processes integrated across the entire AI lifecycle.
From start to finish?
From mindful data collection and pre-processing right through to continuous monitoring of real-world performance to catch biases that might emerge later.
Are there tools to help with this?
Yes. IBM, for example, offers an open-source AI Fairness 360 toolkit. It's a fantastic example of a practical solution that can help developers measure and mitigate bias. For businesses, performing AI readiness assessments and establishing dedicated ethics committees are also crucial steps.
So it ensures AI systems are not just effective, but also equitable and trustworthy.
That's the goal. Equitable and trustworthy for all users.
That makes a lot of sense. It's about proactive design and continuous vigilance, not just a one-off fix. Okay, let's pivot now to something that is incredibly close to home for, well, all of us. Data privacy and cybersecurity protecting your digital self.
A huge concern for many people.
It certainly feels like a digital minefield out there sometimes, right? With our data constantly being collected, analyzed, used in ways we might not even understand, what concrete actions can we actually take to protect ourselves when our digital footprint seems to grow by the minute?
You're right. Vigilance is absolutely key here. Think of it as your digital hygiene, like washing your hands, but for your data. A proactive approach to safeguarding your information.
So what's the risk on the data privacy front specifically?
Well, the sheer scale of data required by these large language models, the LLMs that power so many generative AI apps and virtual assistants, it's immense.
Where does all that data come from?
A lot of this training data is often scraped from the open web, frequently without explicit user consent. And it can inadvertently contain vast amounts of personally identifiable information, or PII.
So are random blog posts, forum comments?
Potentially, yes. And beyond LLMs, other AI systems, the ones designed to deliver those tailored experiences, they also continuously collect personal data.
We saw an example of a breach, didn't we?
Yes, there was a chilling example back in 2023. A bug in ChatGPT allowed some users to temporarily see the titles of other users' chat histories. Built-in reported on that. It highlighted the potential vulnerability.
And you mentioned something about U.S. law.
Right, and here's a crucial point, especially for our U.S. listeners. Currently, there is no single explicit federal law that broadly protects U.S. citizens from AI-specific data privacy harm, according to the same source.
So no overarching federal protection against AI data misuse?
Not in a comprehensive AI-specific way. This means the responsibility falls heavily on individuals to be informed and on companies to be transparent and critically secure in their practices.
That's quite unsettling, knowing there isn't that comprehensive federal safety net specifically for AI data privacy in the U.S. What about the cybersecurity angle, then? It feels like malicious actors are getting incredibly sophisticated, almost using AI against us now.
They absolutely are. Bad actors are increasingly exploiting AI to launch incredibly convincing and damaging cyber attacks. We're not just talking basic scams anymore.
What kind of attacks?
We're talking about hyper-realistic voice cloning to impersonate individuals. Imagine getting a call that sounds exactly like a loved one in distress.
Terrifying.
Generating fake identities with surprising authenticity. Crafting highly persuasive phishing emails that are almost indistinguishable from legitimate communications. All of this is done with intent to scam, to hack into systems, steal identities, compromise personal privacy.
And this is a real problem now.
Oh, yes. The IBM source notes an alarming statistic. Estimates suggest only about 24% of generative AI initiatives are adequately secured. This leads to data breaches that, in 2024, cost organizations an average of $4.88 million per breach.
Wow. That's a huge cost.
This isn't theoretical. It's happening every day. Think about the use of AI-generated robocalls that imitated President Biden to discourage voters, a direct attempt at election interference highlighted by IBM.
Right, we mentioned that earlier.
Or the rise of voice cloning being used for convincing phone scams, preying on unsuspecting individuals. These are very real, very personal threats that demand our awareness.
Wow, those examples truly drive home the personal stakes involved. So, okay, for our daily lives, how do we navigate this onslaught? What are our actionable steps to protect ourselves and our data?
Being informed and proactive is honestly your best defense. First and foremost, cultivate an awareness of data collection practices.
How do you do that?
Whenever you interact with an AI system, sign up for a new service, download an app, ask yourself, when is my data gathered? What specific PII is included? And crucially, how is it stored and used? Read those privacy policies, even if they're dense.
And look for opt-outs.
Yes. Actively look for options to opt out of data collection from AI systems. If you don't see one, or if it's buried and difficult, that should be a significant red flag.
Okay, what else?
Second, educate yourself continuously on how to spot increasingly sophisticated phishing attempts and deepfakes. These are evolving rapidly, so ongoing learning is crucial. Look for trusted sources that explain the latest scams.
And finally,
always verify the authenticity of any information, especially if it seems urgent, emotionally manipulative, or just too good to be true before acting on it. Take a breath. A moment of critical thought can save you a lot of trouble. Double-check with the supposed source through a different channel as possible.
Those are tangible steps we can all take starting today. What about the larger picture? What should organizations be doing to shore up their defenses in this environment? They have a role too.
Oh, absolutely. Organizations bear a substantial responsibility here. They need to outline clear and robust AI safety and security strategies.
Like what?
Conducting rigorous risk assessments, employing threat modeling to identify and close security gaps within their AI environments. Safeguarding training data is paramount. Where does it come from? Is it secure? Adopting a secure-by-design approach for all AI development is essential.
Meaning security isn't an afterthought.
Exactly. Security is built in from conception, not bolted on later.
Yeah.
They should also assess model vulnerabilities through advanced adversarial testing, essentially trying to break their own AI to find weaknesses before bad actors do.
Smart. Like ethical hacking for AI.
Precisely. And invest in comprehensive cyber response training to enhance employee awareness and preparedness for these new AI-powered threats. Everyone in the organization needs to be vigilant.
Any other strategies?
A truly innovative solution many are exploring is the use of computer-generated synthetic data instead of real PII to train models. This drastically reduces privacy risks because no real user data is exposed.
Interesting.
And for businesses, a critical, often overlooked step. Implementing stringent checks for intellectual property infringement when feeding internal data into algorithms. You don't want to inadvertently expose sensitive company information or trade secrets to an external AI model.
Right, that could be disastrous. It's clear that vigilance on both individual and organizational levels is absolutely essential. It feels like a constantly evolving digital arms race.
It really does.
And now let's tackle another major challenge in our increasingly information-saturated world. Misinformation and manipulation, the truth, under attack. We're just bombarded with information every single day, aren't we?
Constantly. It's overwhelming.
How do we arm ourselves against these sophisticated AI-powered manipulation tactics that are just blurring the lines between what's real and what's not? It feels harder than ever.
It is harder. And critical thinking, combined with a healthy dose of skepticism, are truly your best defense mechanisms here. As the futurist Martin Ford points out in that built-in source, in this new reality, you genuinely cannot always believe your own eyes and ears.
That's a scary thought.
It is. Malicious actors are increasingly leveraging AI to spread vast amounts of misinformation and disinformation, specifically designed to influence and manipulate people's decisions, often with profound societal impacts on elections, public health, social cohesion.
And it's not just intentional malice.
No. Beyond intentional malice, AI hallucinations, those confident-sounding yet inaccurate but plausible outputs that AI systems sometimes generate, also inadvertently contribute to the problem, as IBM notes. The AI isn't trying to lie, but it generates falsehoods.
And deepfakes.
Then there are deepfakes, altered images, videos, or audio that are becoming frighteningly realistic. These amplify disinformation. They can be used to damage reputations, and in some tragic cases, they're used to harass victims, particularly women. Distinguishing these from reality is becoming incredibly difficult for the untrained eye, sometimes even for experts.
It's a chilling thought that telling truth from fiction is getting so hard.
Yeah.
Can you give us a few more real-world examples that illustrate just how pervasive and dangerous this can be?
Absolutely. We've already mentioned the AI-generated robocalls mimicking President Biden, a very direct and impactful form of election interference.
Right.
But beyond politics, deepfakes are spreading rapidly through social media platforms, making it incredibly hard for individuals to discern credible news from faulty, often inflammatory narratives.
So it erodes trust in media generally.
It certainly can. The built-in source points out how TikTok's AI algorithms, for instance, while trying to personalize content, can inadvertently promote certain extreme viewpoints or fail to effectively filter harmful or inaccurate content, potentially leading to large-scale social manipulation or polarization.
And there are darker examples, too.
Tragically, yes. Online predators are exploiting AI to generate convincing child abuse material, posing immense challenges for law enforcement in protecting children's online safety and privacy. And then there's the military domain, the proliferation of potent and complex weaponry, including lethal autonomous weapon systems or laws.
Killer robots, essentially.
That's the concern. These systems could potentially be infiltrated by hackers, malfunction due to unforeseen circumstances, or be used in ways that violate international law, leading to scenarios that some experts describe with terms like absolute Armageddon, a truly existential threat to civilian populations if control is lost or misused.
Wow.
These are not just abstract fears, they are emerging realities and possibilities that demand our serious global attention.
That really drives home the seriousness of this issue across so many domains. So given this challenging landscape, what can we as individuals do in our daily lives? How do we protect ourselves from being manipulated by these sophisticated AI tools?
Education is paramount, and consistent practice is essential. It's like building a muscle. First, actively educate yourself on how to spot misinformation and disinformation. Learn the common tactics, emotional manipulation, logical fallacies, lack of sources. Look for inconsistencies. Pay attention to the source itself. Is it credible?
So media literacy skills.
Exactly. Enhance media literacy for the AI age. Second, always, and I cannot stress this enough, always verify the authenticity and veracity of information from multiple credible sources before acting on it or, importantly, sharing it. Don't amplify potential falsehoods.
Resist the urge to instantly share something shocking.
Precisely. Don't trust a single headline, a viral video clip out of context, or a compelling image without checking further. Third, cultivate a habit of relying on human oversight. If something seems off, if a piece of information triggers an unusually strong emotional response in you, or if it feels just too sensational to be true,
Pause.
A human review, maybe a quick search on a fact-checking site, asking a knowledgeable friend looking for corroborating reports is crucial. And finally, stay updated on the latest detection methods for deepfakes and AI hallucinations. This is an ongoing arms race between creation and detection, and continuous learning is truly your best defense.
Those tips are invaluable for navigating this new information landscape. It requires active effort. And what about the organizations, the platforms, the companies that create and deploy these powerful AI tools? What are their responsibilities in this fight for truth?
Their responsibilities are immense. They simply must prioritize using high-quality, verified training data for their AI models to begin with. Garbage data leads to garbage or misleading outputs.
What else?
Beyond that, they need to rigorously test their AI models for accuracy, yes, but also for bias, for potential misuse scenarios, and then continually evaluate and refine them post-deployment. This isn't a one-time process during development. It's ongoing, iterative, and requires significant investment and commitment.
And human oversight.
Absolutely crucial. Emphasizing strong human oversight to review and validate AI outputs is critical. No AI system, especially one with broad public impact like a news algorithm or a content recommendation engine, should operate without a human in the loop, particularly when its outputs have significant societal implications. These actions are fundamental to maintaining trustworthiness and actively preventing malicious use or unintended harm.
Okay, let's shift gears now into segment 3, the broader impact. Societal and environmental considerations. We often think of AI as purely digital, right? Something existing intangibly in the cloud.
That's the common perception.
But it has a very real, very physical footprint. Let's talk about environmental harms. AI's carbon and water footprint. It's not just code, it's servers, massive data centers, and huge energy consumption. How can we make more environmentally conscious choices when using or supporting AI, or even influence greener practices? This feels like a hidden cost.
It is often hidden, but it's incredibly important. And this is a critical area where what might seem like individual technical choices or consumer choices can actually aggregate into a significant global impact. As consumers and professionals, you absolutely can advocate for and choose more sustainable AI practices.
So what's the core issue?
The reality is AI relies on incredibly energy-intensive computations. Training these huge large language models, LLMs, and other complex AI models demands vast amounts of energy. This directly contributes to carbon emissions, as both the IBM and KPMG sources unequivocally point out. It's not just a digital process in the ether, it's a very material one happening in physical data centers, drawing real power from the grid with tangible environmental consequences.
I've seen some startling statistics about this, almost hidden behind the glamour and hype of AI. Can you share some of those specific numbers from our sources that really paint the picture of this impact?
Absolutely. The numbers are indeed eye-opening and should make us pause. One study estimates that training a single large natural language processing model can emit over 600,000 pounds of carbon dioxide.
600,000 pounds for one model training run.
Yes. And to put that into perspective, IBM calculates that's nearly 5 times the average car's lifetime emissions.
Wow. That's staggering, just for one model.
It's a truly significant amount. And it's not just carbon emissions. The massive data centers that house these powerful AI servers also require enormous volumes of water for cooling, It's a huge water draw.
Hadn't even thought about the water usage.
It's often overlooked. Another study found that training the GPT-3 models in Microsoft's U.S. data centers consumed an astonishing 5.4 million liters of water.
Millions of liters.
Yes. And for a more relatable comparison, just handling 10 to 50 prompts with a powerful AI like asking it questions can consume roughly 500 milliliters of water. That's like a standard water bottle.
Just for a few queries.
This hidden water footprint is significant, putting real stress on local water resources, especially in data center hubs that might already be water-stressed regions.
Those numbers are truly eye-opening. It changes how you think about using these tools. So, knowing this, what can we do in our daily lives, or how can we influence positive change to mitigate this significant environmental impact? What are the practical levers we can pull?
There are several things. As individuals and professionals, you can actively support companies and AI providers that are transparent about their energy sources and, ideally, powered by renewable energy. Look for that information. Ask for it.
Choose greener providers if possible.
Exactly. When you're involved in development, procurement, or even just choosing which AI services to use personally or for your business, actively choose energy-efficient AI models or frameworks if options exist. Smaller, more optimized models often use far less energy.
What else can be done on the development side?
Advocate for more efficient training practices. This could include training on less data. When feasible, is all that data truly necessary? Simplifying model architecture where possible. Exploring techniques that don't require building entirely new, massive models from scratch every time.
Like reusing existing work.
Precisely. Supporting the reuse of existing models and leveraging transfer learning, which essentially fine-tunes pre-trained models for new, specific tasks, can significantly reduce the energy needed for new training compared to starting from zero.
And on the hardware and infrastructure side?
Considering serverless architecture, which dynamically allocates computing resources only when needed, rather than having servers idling constantly. And utilizing hardware specifically optimized for AI workloads, specialized chips, can be much more energy efficient for these tasks.
So there are technical solutions.
Yes, it's a complex challenge, and there are often trade-offs between computational power, speed, accuracy, and environmental impact. But these steps, taken together, can make a real difference. Awareness is the first step.
It's fascinating how even seemingly small technical decisions can contribute to a larger ecological impact. Really important to keep in mind. Okay, now let's pivot from the tangible, the environmental, to the more conceptual, exploring some of the murkier legal and ethical waters around ownership and responsibility. Next up, we have B, intellectual property infringement and lack of accountability explainability.
Right, these are thorny issues.
From creative works to critical legal or financial decisions, AI introduces these really complex questions about who's in charge, who owns the output, and how things actually work under the hood. What can we do to ensure fairness, transparency, and understanding here?
The key, I think, across all these issues comes back to transparency and the expectation of clear audit trails.
Yeah.
Very much like you would expect from any important human-led process, especially in critical domains.
Okay, let's break it down. First, intellectual property infringement. How is AI creating problems here?
Generative AI has become incredibly adept at mimicking creative styles. It's quite remarkable, actually. It can generate images that flawlessly capture an artist's distinctive look and feel.
Yeah, I've seen some examples. Uncanny.
Compose music that echoes a singer's unique voice, or write essays and poems uncannily similar to a particular author's style. This raises a major, and largely unresolved, legal question. Who owns the copyright to AI-generated content?
Especially if it's trained on copyrighted material.
Exactly, particularly when it's either fully AI-created based on that training or merely AI-assisted. The legal landscape around AI-generated works is still very much developing globally. There isn't clear consensus yet.
And that creates uncertainty.
Yes. This ambiguity presents significant challenges and potential liabilities for businesses who might use AI-generated content and for individual creators whose styles might be replicated without permission or compensation.
That's a huge issue for creatives and businesses, definitely creating a lot of uncertainty and anxiety. What about the lack of accountability? This seems equally problematic. If an AI system makes a damaging or incorrect decision, who is actually responsible? Where does the buck stop?
This is truly one of the more uncertain and rapidly evolving risks of AI, and it's a question that keeps legal experts, ethicists, and policymakers awake at night. Who is held liable when an AI tool makes a damaging decision, causes harm, provides incorrect information with serious consequences?
Can you give examples where this comes up?
These questions are right at the forefront in cases like fatal crashes involving self-driving cars. Who's responsible? The owner? The manufacturer? The software developer? Or wrongful arrests based on faulty facial recognition systems, as highlighted by IBM and KPMG.
So the AI makes a mistake with real-world harm.
Right. Accountability, as KPMG emphasizes, ultimately means that human users or developers or deployers, not just the technology itself, are responsible for the outcomes. AI should remain a sophisticated tool to support, not replace, human judgment and responsibility, especially in high-stakes situations.
Why is that so important?
Without clear accountability frameworks, trust in AI just erodes. And its potential benefits in critical sectors like medicine or finance could be severely compromised because people won't rely on it if no one is responsible when things go wrong. It's about ensuring there's always a human in the loop, both for oversight and ultimate responsibility.
Okay, that makes sense. And then there's the third piece you mentioned, lack of explainability or transparency. This sounds like a fundamental problem for trust, particularly when AI is making decisions that significantly impact our lives.
It absolutely is, and it really strikes at the core of public trust and even expert trust sometimes. AI algorithms are frequently described as black boxes.
Why?
Because their internal mechanisms, their decision-making processes, are often opaque, a mystery. Sometimes even to the AI researchers who design and work with them, especially with very complex deep learning models.
So even the creators don't fully know why it reached a certain conclusion.
In some complex cases, yes, they might know the inputs and outputs and the general structure, but not the specific weighting or reasoning path for a particular decision. This opaqueness and incomprehensibility erode trust, as IBM points out, and they effectively obscure potential dangers, hidden biases, or failure modes.
And that lack of trust has consequences.
Definitely. Kush Varshney of IBM Research notes quite directly that if we don't have that trust in those models, we can't really get the benefit of that AI in enterprises. Without understanding how an AI reached a conclusion, what data points it prioritized, what logic it followed, it's impossible to fully audit it, challenge it effectively, or ultimately trust it. This leads to a significant loss of potential benefits in critical sectors like healthcare, finance, and legal systems.
Can you give an example?
Imagine a medical AI diagnosing a serious illness, but being completely unable to explain why it reached that conclusion to the doctor or the patient. It's simply unacceptable from an ethical and practical standpoint. You need to understand the reasoning.
That really lays out the complexities involved. So again, bringing it back to the listener, what can we as individuals do in our daily lives to navigate these challenges around IP, accountability, and explainability? What are our levers of influence here?
Okay, a few things. For individual users of generative AI in creative work, it's vital to be mindful of potential IP issues. Don't just copy and paste an AI output and claim it entirely as your own, particularly if it feels suspiciously polished or clearly echoes existing copyrighted style.
Be cautious.
Yes. Verify originality. Perhaps use AI more as a co-creator, an assistant, or an inspiration source rather than a complete replacement for your own input. More broadly, and this is crucial for accountability and explainability, demand explanations for AI-driven decisions that affect you personally.
Especially in important areas.
Exactly. Especially in critical areas like finance, loan applications, credit scores, healthcare, diagnostic suggestions, treatment plans, legal matters, or employment, hiring algorithms, performance reviews. If an AI system denies you a loan, flags your job application, or informs a medical decision, you have every right to ask for a clear explanation of why.
And support transparent companies.
Yes. Support companies that are transparent about their AI's workings, that explain how their systems make decisions, and that have clear accountability frameworks in place. Vote with your feet or your wallet.
And what about on the organizational side? What should they be doing?
Organizations need to implement rigorous checks to comply with laws regarding licensed works used for AI training, ensuring they're not infringing on existing copyrights from the start. They must exercise extreme caution when feeding internal data into third-party algorithms to avoid exposing sensitive company intellectual property.
Monitor outputs.
Yes, continuously monitor AI model outputs for potential infringement or other issues. And crucially, maintain readily accessible audit trails and comprehensive logs for all AI system behaviors and decisions. Traceability is key, along with detailed records of human decisions made during the AI design and development process.
What about making the black box less black?
That's where adopting explainable AI, XAI techniques comes in. Tools like Lime and DeepLift can help us understand which parts of an AI's input most influenced its decision, rather than just knowing the final outcome. They shed vital light into these black boxes.
And governance.
Finally, establishing robust AI governance with independent audit and review teams to assess interpretability and set clear explainability standards for different applications is absolutely vital for building that trust.
Those are robust, multi-layered measures that are clearly needed to build that trust and fairness into these systems. Okay, now for something that still sounds like it's maybe straight out of a blockbuster movie, but which leading experts are taking very seriously, see existential risks.
The big one.
Yeah. It's easy to dismiss these concerns maybe as just hype or science fiction, but when we're hearing language equating AI risk to nuclear war and pandemics, it demands our attention. Is there anything we can actually do about a risk that feels so far-fetched and abstract for the everyday person?
It's a valid question. While these risks often feel distant, perhaps even hypothetical to some, the consensus among many experts studying this is that preparation must begin now, even if that preparation is mostly about fostering a responsible ecosystem and an informed public discourse today.
So what's the core concern?
The concerns from many tech leaders, including pioneers like Hinton, revolve around AI potentially surpassing human intelligence across the board, leading to what they term strong AI, human-like general intelligence, or even artificial superintelligence, or ASI, AI that transcends human intelligence in virtually every meaningful aspect.
And why is that considered an existential risk?
This scenario is increasingly seen by some serious researchers and thinkers as a genuine risk of extinction for humanity. It's being equated in severity to threats like nuclear war and global pandemics, as the IBM source explicitly mentions. Geoffrey Hinton, the godfather of AI we discussed, has explicitly warned that AI's rapid evolution might soon surpass human intelligence.
And he's worried about control?
Yes, he's voiced deep concerns about what's known as the alignment problem. That's the immense challenge of ensuring that these superintelligent AIs, if they emerge, are fundamentally aligned with human values, human goals, and human well-being.
How do you program something smarter than you to be safe?
That's the crux of the problem. It was precisely this kind of deep concern that led Elon Musk and over 1,000 other tech leaders to call for that pause on giant AI experiments last year. While these are currently theoretical scenarios, the potential implications are so profound, so species-altering, that they argue we simply cannot afford to ignore them or assume everything will be fine.
That's a truly sobering thought. What are the core arguments that elevate these concerns from science fiction to a genuine, albeit perhaps distant, possibility? And for us, as informed citizens, what practical steps can we take, even if it feels far removed from our day-to-day lives?
The core argument often revolves around the idea of exponential, potentially uncontainable growth in intelligence. If an AI becomes capable of recursive self-improvement, getting smarter at an accelerating rate beyond human comprehension or control.
The intelligence explosion idea.
Exactly. Then ensuring its goals remain aligned with human well-being becomes extraordinarily difficult, perhaps impossible. The alignment problem essentially asks, how do you specify and program something vastly more intelligent than you to share our complex, nuanced, and sometimes contradictory human values, especially when its methods for achieving its programmed goals might be completely unforeseen, counterintuitive, or even harmful to us in ways we didn't anticipate?
Like the paperclip maximizer thought experiment.
That's a classic illustration, yes. An AI programmed simply to maximize paperclip production might rationally decide to convert all matter on Earth, including humans, into paperclips, because that fulfills its goal most effectively, without any malice intended. It highlights the danger of poorly specified goals for a superintelligence.
Okay, so what can we do?
For us, as individuals, the primary action right now is really about staying rigorously informed. This means going beyond these sensational headlines and clickbait, delving into the nuanced discussions and research surrounding AI safety and ethics, reading thoughtful analyses.
Be informed consumers of information about AI.
Precisely. Be open to responsibly experimenting with the latest AI tools yourself, understanding their capabilities firsthand, but also their limitations, their quirks, observing their behavior. This hands-on experience fosters a deeper, more grounded understanding than just reading about it.
And skills.
And crucially, strengthen your own skills, not just technical skills, but critical thinking, ethical reasoning, adaptability to facilitate the ethical adoption of emerging technologies in your own life and work. This isn't about panicking. It's about fostering a knowledgeable, discerning, and responsible engagement with AI as it evolves.
So contributing to collective intelligence on the topic.
Exactly, contributing to a collective intelligence that can hopefully anticipate and address these profound challenges thoughtfully. Your informed voice in public discourse, in conversations with policymakers within your organizations about AI safety and governance actually holds more weight than you might think. Collective awareness matters.
That's a good way to frame it. Informed, responsible engagement and collective advocacy, even for these long-term risks. Okay, let's shift our focus now to something that impacts many of us very directly and immediately. Segment 4, AI and your career, friend or foe, job market and skills transformation.
A big topic on everyone's mind.
Absolutely. We've heard so much talk, so many headlines about AI taking jobs. But it sounds, from our research, like it's much more complex than a simple robots are coming for our jobs narrative. Let's delve into A, the nuance of job impact, displacement versus augmentation. So, the robots aren't just taking over. Are some jobs truly safe from AI, or is it really more about transformation across the board?
That's an excellent question, and it gets right to the heart of the current job market anxieties and debates. If we connect this to the bigger picture we've been discussing, it's clearly much more about evolution and transformation, not pure extinction for most roles.
So changing jobs, not just losing them.
Exactly. The nature of many jobs is fundamentally changing, requiring different skills, different approaches, collaboration with AI rather than outright elimination. That seems to be the dominant trend emerging from the data, as Microsoft research also clarifies.
But the initial fears are understandable.
Oh, absolutely. The initial fears are completely understandable and valid. AI is indeed expected to disrupt the job market, as IBM notes, inciting widespread fears of automation displacing workers. We saw that Goldman Sachs' prediction, for example, that AI could potentially replace the equivalent of 300 million full-time jobs globally.
That's a huge number.
Affecting about 25% of work tasks in the US and Europe. And Martin Ford, the futurist, highlighted specific concerns that lower-wage service sector jobs, which have been a robust source of employment historically, might not continue to be created at the same rate, with AI's rise taking over some of those tasks. These concerns are real and based on the undeniable power of automation for certain types of work.
That's a powerful argument for displacement, and it resonates with a lot of people's anxieties. How do you respond to those very real fears beyond just quoting statistics? What's the counter-narrative suggesting a different, maybe more optimistic future?
You're right to emphasize those very real anxieties, and it's important we acknowledge them fully. However, the comprehensive data, when you look across multiple studies, also presents a very powerful counter-narrative. It suggests AI isn't just about displacement, it's also about significant augmentation of human capabilities and the creation of entirely new job categories we couldn't even imagine before.
Like what kind of new jobs?
For instance, AI is driving massive growth in completely new, highly specialized roles, things like machine learning specialists, robotics engineers, AI ethicists, prompt engineers, digital transformation specialists. These are jobs that barely existed a decade ago, and they're often well paid.
And what about the net effect? More jobs lost or gained?
Well, the World Economic Forum, cited by IBM, actually estimates that AI will create more jobs than it replaces overall. They projected around 170 million new jobs globally by 2030, offsetting the losses elsewhere.
That's a significant net gain projected.
And even more compelling, perhaps, is PwC's Fearless Future report. They found that AI is actually making workers more valuable and productive in many cases, not just streamlining headcount.
How so?
Their research indicates that job numbers and wages are actually growing in virtually every AI-exposed occupation they studied, even those traditionally considered highly automatable. It seems AI is shifting the nature of work, elevating parts of it, rather than just eliminating jobs wholesale.
That's an incredibly encouraging perspective, suggesting AI enhances rather than just replaces. Can you give us a concrete example of that augmentation in action? It's much easier to grasp with real-world scenarios rather than just abstract statistics.
Certainly. PwC provides some excellent relatable examples in their report. Consider Amina, an information analyst they profile. Before AI, much of her time might have been spent manually sifting through mountains of data, compiling standard reports, doing repetitive background research. Tedious work.
Right. A lot of analysts spend time on that.
Now, Amina leverages AI agents, specialized AI tools to perform that extensive research, synthesize information rapidly, and even draft initial reports. This doesn't replace Amina. Instead, it frees her up to focus on the higher value tasks.
Like what?
interpreting complex data with nuance, refining the AI's outputs with their critical human judgment and domain expertise, servicing clients more deeply by understanding their unique needs, proactively developing new business strategies based on the insights. She becomes vastly more productive and, importantly, generates more revenue for her company.
So the AI handles the grunt work, she handles the strategy and insight.
Exactly. Another example they give is John, a customer support agent. AI now efficiently handles the simpler, routine customer queries, password resets, basic troubleshooting steps, order status checks, things that follow a script.
Freeing John up for.
This allows John to dedicate his time and his uniquely human empathy and problem-solving skills to the more complex, emotionally charged customer issues. Navigating tricky product problems, de-escalating tense situations, building customer loyalty through genuine connection. AI even assists him by rapidly reviewing thousands of similar past customer cases to suggest potential solutions he might not have thought of.
So AI is an assistant, making him better at the human part of his job.
Precisely. This is exactly what PwC means when they say automation can actually serve to augment what workers can achieve. It's not taking away the job, but transforming it into a higher value, more strategic, and often more engaging and rewarding role for the human involved.
That's a powerful distinction. It really clarifies that the more human the job, the more it requires empathy, complex problem-solving, creativity, strategic judgment, the more secure and even enhanced it becomes with AI as a tool. But okay, for the jobs that are changing significantly, or those with highly repetitive tasks, which roles are most susceptible to automation according to our sources? And conversely, which seem least likely to be replaced entirely?
The jobs generally seen as most susceptible to automation are those involving highly repetitive, predictable tasks, routine data processing, and where deep emotional or social intelligence is less critical for the core function. Nexford University lists several common examples.
Which ones?
Customer service representatives, particularly those handling very standard repetitive queries with low emotional complexity, think basic FAQ bots. Receptionists, where smart robots and AI systems can manage calls, scheduling, visitor check-in, and basic interactions quite effectively now. Accountants and bookkeepers, especially for tasks like data entry, reconciliation, generating standard reports, automation can handle these efficiently.
What about sales or analysis?
Certain aspects of sales, particularly lead generation, initial outreach, and market analysis, as advertising shifts further to web social media with AI-powered target marketing. Routine research and analysis tasks, like streamlining data identification, gathering information, and compiling summaries. AI is very good at that.
And physical jobs.
Definitely warehouse work automation for order processing, item retrieval, packing. Loading is advancing rapidly. Also insurance underwriting, especially for simpler policies involving analyzing standard data and applying formulas. And certain retail roles, like self-checkout stations, inventory tracking, and basic stock management.
So those are the roles where AI can readily step in and take over the more mundane, predictable parts of the work. Now, conversely, what about those roles that AI is least likely to replace? The ones that truly leverage our uniquely human skills and attributes. Where is the human edge strongest?
These are generally the roles that tap deeply into what makes us distinctively human: our creativity, our emotional intelligence, complex strategic thinking, nuanced communication, ethical judgment, and intricate social interaction. Nexford again provides some good examples here. Teachers, for instance. Because of the invaluable human connection, mentorship, inspiration, and adaptability they provide in a dynamic classroom environment. AI can be a tool for teachers, but not replace them. Lawyers and judges, due to the need for complex negotiation, nuanced legal strategy, interpreting ambiguity, persuasive argumentation, and the crucial human factor in rendering ethical and just decisions in complex cases.
Leadership roles.
Yes, directors, managers, and CEOs. They rely on visionary leadership, motivating teams, communicating mission and values effectively, building trust with investors and stakeholders, things AI can't replicate authentically. HR managers, too, whose role goes far beyond simple hiring algorithms to maintaining staff motivation, detecting subtle signs of discontent, fostering a positive company culture, and handling sensitive interpersonal issues.
What about care and health?
Psychologists and psychiatrists. These roles require a delicate human touch, deep empathy, building rapport, and the ability to navigate incredibly sensitive personal topics. Surgeons, who not only need incredible dexterity and skill, but also connect with patients on a human level, explain complex procedures, and bring vast experience and intuitive judgment to high-stakes, unpredictable situations in the operating room.
Tech and creative roles.
Computer system analysts are surprisingly resilient, as they're critical for the ongoing maintenance, complex troubleshooting, strategic updates, security improvements, and intricate coordination of technological systems tasks requiring broad understanding and foresight. And finally, artists and writers, particularly those involved in truly imaginative fine art, crafting compelling, original narratives with emotional depth, generating the magic and thrill of genuine human creation. While AI can generate text and images, replicating that spark of authentic human creativity and resonance remains profoundly difficult.
That really underscores the enduring value of our innate human abilities and highlights where we should probably be focusing our own development and education efforts. Okay, moving to B, the skills earthquake. What's changing and why you need to adapt? This phrase, skills earthquake, sounds pretty intense. With such rapid change happening, how do we make sure we're not left behind? And more importantly, how do we capitalize on these new opportunities that AI is creating in the skills landscape?
It is intense. An earthquake might not be hyperbole. This is where being proactive and truly embracing a lifelong learner mindset becomes not just beneficial, but absolutely essential for career longevity and success in the coming years. As LinkedIn CEO Ryan Roslansky aptly states, the ability to adapt and learn how to learn is going to set you apart. That meta skill is key.
Why is the change happening so fast?
The pace at which the specific skills sought by employers are changing is just astonishing right now, especially in jobs touched by AI. PwC's report indicates that the demanded skills are changing 66% faster in occupations most exposed to AI.
66% faster? Compared to what?
Compared to less exposed occupations. And that 66% figure is up dramatically from just 25% the previous year. So the pace of change is accelerating. LinkedIn's data further supports this, showing that by 2030, they project a staggering 70% of the skills used in most jobs today will undergo significant transformation, with AI being the primary catalyst driving that change.
70% of skills changing by 2030? That's huge.
It means that skills you possess today, even if they're valuable now, might quickly become outdated or less relevant if you don't continually update and adapt. This creates both a challenge, obviously, but also a massive opportunity for those willing to learn and evolve.
That's a huge shift in how we need to approach our careers and personal development. It's not just get a degree and you're set anymore. So what kind of new in-demand skills are employers actively looking for in this new landscape? What should people be focusing on learning?
Well, one critical new skill area, often overlooked by people perhaps without a deep technical background, is simply AI literacy, basic proficiency and understanding. The demand for non-technical professionals who possess genuine AI proficiency, who understand how to use the tools effectively, is rising dramatically.
What does AI literacy mean in practice?
LinkedIn's data reveals that specific AI literacy skills, things like prompt engineering, which is essentially the art and science of crafting effective, clear, and precise questions and commands to get the best and most relevant results from generative AI tools like ChatGPT or Copilot. These skills increased over 6 times in demand on LinkedIn over the past year alone.
6 times?
And an astonishing 177% since 2023. Yet despite this incredible surge in demand, it remains a relatively rare skill listed on profiles or in job descriptions. Only about 1 in 500 jobs currently explicitly requests it.
So huge demand, low supply.
Exactly. This represents an enormous, untapped opportunity for individuals who proactively acquire these practical AI literacy skills. It's about learning to speak the language of AI, to collaborate with it effectively, regardless of your primary job function.
That's a very clear signal for anyone looking to stay competitive and add immediate value in almost any field. And it sounds like the traditional path of relying solely on a formal university degree might also be shifting significantly in this environment.
It absolutely is. And this is another profound shift we're seeing in the data. PwC's research indicates that employer demand for formal degrees is declining overall, and this trend is accelerating, especially for jobs that are highly exposed to AI.
Why is that happening? Why are degrees becoming less critical in some areas?
It seems to be driven by several interconnected factors. Firstly, AI is in some ways democratizing expertise. You can now rapidly access, synthesize, and even command expert-level knowledge using AI tools, which can make formal qualifications feel less exclusive or critical for certain tasks compared to demonstrated ability.
So practical skills over credentials.
Increasingly, yes. Secondly, the rapid pace of skill change, that skills earthquake we mentioned, means that the specific knowledge gained in a degree program earned years ago can quickly become outdated in its practical applications if not continually refreshed. And thirdly, The high immediate demand for practical AI skills is encouraging employers to look beyond formal training pathways. They're focusing much more on what candidates can do right now and how adaptable they are, rather than just relying on what they studied in the past.
That's interesting. And AI might be changing existing jobs too.
Yes, there's evidence AI may also be enriching or upskilling many jobs traditionally considered automatable. By taking over the routine, repetitive tasks, it effectively requires the human workers in those roles to engage in more complex skills, more critical thinking, more customer interaction, and more sophisticated decision-making. So the job itself evolves upwards.
So if formal degrees are becoming less singularly important in some fields, and skills are evolving at this breakneck pace, what are the concrete, actionable strategies for us, the listeners, to stay ahead? How do we thrive in this dynamic job market? What's the playbook?
Okay, based on the insights from Nexford, PwC, and LinkedIn, several key strategies consistently emerge. First and foremost, and we can't stress this enough, embrace lifelong learning. This isn't just a nice to have anymore, it's a fundamental survival imperative for your career.
What does that look like practically?
Continuously seek to learn new technologies, new software, new tools, new ways of working, new methodologies. Take online courses, many are free or low cost. Attend workshops or webinars. Immerse yourself in industry news and trends. Stay curious. LinkedIn members, for example, are adding new skills to their profiles at a 140% faster pace since 2022, showing people are responding.
Okay, lifelong learning. What else?
Second, develop and actively refine your soft skills, your uniquely human skills. AI excels at routine, analytical, data-driven tasks. But human emotional intelligence, creativity, nuanced communication, complex problem-solving, collaboration, curiosity, compassion, critical thinking, and courage are largely irreplaceable by machines and becoming more valuable.
Communication is key.
Communication was, in fact, the #1 most in-demand skill overall in 2024, according to LinkedIn. And interestingly, employees who are actively developing generative AI skills are also demonstrating growth in related soft skills. They're 13 times more likely to develop change readiness, 9 times more likely to develop skills in building trust, and 5 times more likely to improve their logical reasoning. Engaging with AI seems to build these adjacent human capabilities.
Fascinating link. Third strategy.
Third, be agile. Adaptability is paramount. This means adapting quickly to changing circumstances and market demands, being willing and able to learn new skills on the fly, taking on new responsibilities that might be outside your traditional job description, and even being prepared to pivot your career path if necessary. C-suite executives, interestingly, overwhelmingly prioritize agility when looking for entry-level candidates now.
So flexibility and willingness to change.
Fourth, specialize. While being adaptable is key, developing deep expertise in particular niche areas that complement AI capabilities can significantly increase your value to employers and differentiate you in a crowded market. Become the go-to expert in something specific that AI assists but doesn't fully replace.
And finally, linking back to AI literacy.
Yes, finally, actively seek out AI literacy training. Don't be intimidated by it. Learn prompt engineering. Understand how to effectively use the main generative AI tools like ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, or whatever is relevant in your field. Many companies are now investing heavily in training their own employees on these AI tools because they recognize that practical skills and adaptability are becoming paramount, perhaps even more so than traditional credentials in some cases. It's really about being able to work with AI synergistically, not competing against it head-on.
That's a really comprehensive and empowering playbook for anyone looking to navigate and thrive in this new landscape. It's about agency, not just anxiety. Now, let's look at the brighter side and conclude this important segment with CAI's positive economic impact and wave growth. This is really encouraging news. It suggests it's not just about surviving AI, but about genuinely thriving with it and leveraging it for real growth, both for companies and individuals. How important is it for organizations to truly get on board with all these changes strategically?
If we connect this back to the bigger economic picture, the data is becoming unequivocally clear. AI isn't just an efficiency tool or a way to cut costs anymore. It's a powerful growth strategy. Companies that embrace it thoughtfully, strategically, and ethically are seeing tangible, significant benefits across the board.
Can you give an example of that strategic use?
We can look at cases like Southwest Airlines, which was mentioned. They utilize generative AI not to replace people, but to modernize their complex crew attendance and leave management system. This didn't eliminate jobs. Instead, it freed up valuable time for their teams,
Allowing them to do what?
allowing them to focus on more complex critical thinking, strategic problem solving, improving operational efficiency in other areas, and driving innovation. And the aggregate numbers really speak for themselves. PwC reports that industries most effectively integrating and leveraging AI are experiencing 3 times higher growth in revenue per employee compared to less AI-exposed sectors.
3 times higher growth. That's huge.
And productivity growth in these AI-leading industries has nearly quadrupled since 2022, while, ironically, it's actually been falling slightly in the less AI-exposed industries during the same period. This paints a very clear picture of AI as a major catalyst for economic expansion and competitive advantage.
So it's directly impacting the bottom line for businesses, making them more competitive and productive overall. What about the individual workers within those companies or industries? Are they seeing a direct financial benefit from embracing AI in their roles?
Absolutely. The benefits are very real and measurable for individuals too, which is crucial. PwC's data shows that workers who actively develop and possess in-demand AI skills, like prompt engineering or AI analysis, are commanding a substantial wage premium. They estimated it at a remarkable 56% on average.
56% higher wages for AI skills.
Yes, up significantly from 25% just the previous year, showing how quickly the value of these skills is rising. And more broadly, wages in general are growing 2 times faster in industries that are most exposed to AI compared to less exposed ones, indicating a widespread uplift, not just for elite specialists.
And this applies even to jobs that seem automatable.
Yes, interestingly, this wage growth applies to both highly automatable and highly augmentable jobs. This suggests that even roles that might initially seem vulnerable to automation are being reshaped into higher value positions with better pay, rewarding those individuals who adapt, learn, and integrate AI effectively into their workflow.
That's incredibly encouraging news for people who might have been worried about their careers being devalued by AI. It suggests the opposite can happen if you adapt. How is this translating into broader business growth and innovation beyond just individual wages?
The impact on overall business growth and innovation is significant and undeniable, according to recent surveys. LinkedIn reports that a striking 51% of businesses that have adopted generative AI have already reported a tangible revenue increase of 10% or more.
Half of them seeing double-digit revenue growth.
It's not surprising, then, that 88% of C-suite leaders surveyed by LinkedIn are prioritizing speeding up AI adoption within their organizations. They see the potential. The technology is also delivering substantial time savings across the board.
How much time?
76% of global businesses using generative AI reported they've seen significant time savings already. And this freed up time isn't just about cutting labor costs. Crucially, it enables employees to focus on innovation, strategic thinking, developing new products or services, and generally higher value, more creative work. This clearly shows AI is acting as a powerful engine, helping businesses grow, become more innovative, and spark entirely new ideas across almost every sector.
You mentioned agentic AI earlier as a key contributor to this positive impact, this idea of AI assistance. Can you elaborate a bit more on how this more advanced form of AI empowers human workers rather than replacing them?
Right. Agentic AI represents a significant step forward. It refers to advanced digital workforce AI systems capable of not just responding to prompts, but actually reasoning, planning complex multi-step tasks, executing those tasks autonomously, and even learning from their errors without constant human micromanagement.
Like having a smart assistant.
Exactly. PwC describes it quite vividly as potentially having tireless, hyper-intelligent executive assistants working for you. This means human workers aren't just using AI tools passively. They can potentially command teams of these digital agents to get vastly more done much faster. It effectively makes the human worker an exponential multiplier of their own capabilities.
Can you give a practical example?
For instance, imagine a human salesperson who can command an AI agent to craft highly personalized sales pitches tailored to hundreds of different leads, meticulously track those leads through the entire sales pipeline, update the CRM system automatically with every interaction, and schedule follow-up meetings.
Leaving the human to do what?
This frees the human salesperson to focus entirely on what they do best: building genuine relationships with key prospects, understanding complex client needs through conversation, handling negotiations, and ultimately closing the deals. The AI handles the process, the human handles the relationship and the close.
We saw this in practice with the Southwest Airlines example too.
Exactly. By using Gen AI to modernize their crew attendance and leave management system, they didn't just automate a back-end process, they freed up valuable human time and cognitive load. This allowed their teams to pivot from routine administrative tasks to higher-level critical thinking, strategic problem-solving, and driving innovation in other parts of the airline's operation. This is the essence of AI as a profound growth strategy, fundamentally empowering people and augmenting their abilities rather than merely replacing them, leading to a powerful, synergistic human-AI collaboration.
That's a powerful and genuinely exciting vision for the future of work, one where humans are augmented, amplified, and empowered by AI, not diminished by it. Okay, now let's explore our final crucial segment, the role of governance and trust, shaping the future of AI. So if we want to truly unlock all these incredible positive benefits from AI that we've just discussed, who's ultimately responsible for making sure it's developed and used safely, ethically, and genuinely for the greater good? It can't be a free-for-all.
No, it absolutely can't. And this raises an important and incredibly complex question. How do we, as a global society, ensure that AI fundamentally serve humanity's best interests, rather than creating unforeseen harms or exacerbating existing inequalities? It's undeniably a multi-stakeholder effort.
Who are its stakeholders?
It involves government setting regulations, corporations developing and deploying AI responsibly, researchers pushing the boundaries ethically, civil society groups advocating for safeguards, and individuals being informed and demanding accountability. But for you, the listener, awareness is always the first, most crucial step in that ecosystem.
Why is governance so critical now?
As AI becomes increasingly integral, woven into the fabric of the global economy and our daily lives, establishing effective governance structures and robust regulatory frameworks is simply more pressing than ever, as highlighted in the AI governance and regulation source we reviewed. It's all about finding that delicate, crucial balance.
The balance between
promoting rapid innovation, which we need, while simultaneously protecting society from potential risks, and crucially, maintaining ethical integrity throughout the entire AI lifecycle, from design to deployment to decommissioning. Without that careful balance, the enormous potential benefits we've talked about will likely remain elusive or could even backfire.
What are the core ethical considerations, the fundamental principles that should absolutely guide this governance framework? What principles are sort of non-negotiable if we want trustworthy AI?
KPMG emphasizes several key principles that really must serve as the foundation for any robust AI governance. These include fairness, ensuring AI systems don't perpetuate or amplify harmful bias or discrimination. Accountability, establishing clear lines of responsibility and liability for AI decisions and their outcomes. Sustainability, considering and addressing the environmental footprint and the long-term societal impacts of AI systems. And transparency, making AI's decision-making processes understandable and auditable, at least to a degree appropriate for the application's risk level.
And these align with existing laws.
Yes, these core ethical principles should fundamentally guide the development, deployment, and ongoing use of AI everywhere. And they also align closely with existing international legal standards, like Europe's GDPR for data protection, demonstrating a growing global convergence around these ethical imperatives for technology.
Does the specific application matter?
Absolutely. The specific ethical concerns and the level of scrutiny required can vary significantly depending on the AI system's context and potential impact. A simple spam detection algorithm clearly poses vastly fewer ethical challenges than an AI system used for medical diagnosis, autonomous driving, or facial recognition for law enforcement surveillance. Each system needs to be rigorously evaluated based on its specific context, its potential impact on individuals and society, and the sensitivity of its application domain. Risk-based approaches are key.
So as individuals, how can we actively contribute to or support good AI governance in a meaningful way? It often feels like such a huge, abstract undertaking handled by governments and big companies.
It can feel that way, but individual actions matter. You can start by actively supporting organizations, companies, and governments that clearly articulate and, more importantly, actively adhere to strong AI governance frameworks and ethical principles. Look for transparency reports, ethical charters, adherence to standards.
Pay attention to policy.
Yes, pay attention to proposed legislation and policies related to AI in your country or region. Engage with those discussions if you can. You can engage with discussions about AI ethics and regulation in your local community through professional groups, industry forums, or even online platforms. Your informed voice, asking critical questions, matters immensely in shaping these important conversations and advocating for the values you believe should guide AI's future.
So even asking basic questions helps.
Absolutely. For example, simply asking your bank about how they use AI in loan decisions, or asking your healthcare provider about their policies regarding AI in diagnostics, can signal to these organizations that these issues are important to their customers and constituents. Collective consumer pressure works.
That's a great point. It's not just for experts in Washington, Brussels, or Silicon Valley. It's for all of us to engage with as citizens and consumers. Okay, let's look briefly at emerging global regulatory approaches. It sounds like different parts of the world are taking quite different philosophical paths to governing AI. It's not one size fits all.
Indeed, there's a fascinating divergence in global approaches right now, reflecting fundamentally different political systems, economic priorities, and cultural values. The AI governance and regulation source identifies three dominant models emerging globally.
What's the first one?
First, you have China's state-driven development model. This approach emphasizes national strategic goals, pro-growth policies, and developmental priorities, with the state playing a very central role in guiding, funding, and often controlling AI innovation and deployment. This top-down approach is having a notable influence, sometimes called the Beijing effect, particularly in emerging economies that might prioritize rapid technological advancement and state control over individual rights concerns.
Okay, state-led. What's the second model?
Second, there's the U.S.'s market-driven approach. Historically, this tends to involve less direct, comprehensive federal legislation or top-down regulations specifically for AI. It relies more heavily on existing laws, industry self-regulation, voluntary frameworks developed by bodies like NIST, and broad policy blueprints issued by the executive branch. The emphasis is often on fostering innovation and market competition without imposing potentially burdensome constraints too early.
So more hands-off, relying on the market. And the third, the EU.
Yes, the European Union has adopted a distinctly different rights-driven framework, often referred to as the Brussels effect.
Why that name?
Because the EU often leverages its significant internal market power access to hundreds of millions of consumers to effectively set de facto global standards through its comprehensive regulations. Companies worldwide often adopt EU standards to sell into that market. We saw this clearly with the GDPR influencing data protection practices globally.
And they have a specific AI law now.
Yes, a truly significant development here is the EU AI Act, which officially came into effect on August 1st, 2024, after years of debate. This landmark legislation categorizes AI systems based on risk into 4 distinct levels. Prohibited, like social scoring; high risk, like medical devices or critical infrastructure; limited risk, like chatbots needing transparency; and low minimal risk, like spam filters.
And the rules differ by risk level.
Exactly. The Act places much stricter rules, conformity assessments, and ongoing compliance burdens on those applications deemed high risk. This pyramid of risk classification is central to their approach, aiming to fundamentally protect citizens' fundamental rights and public safety while still trying to boost responsible innovation within clear guardrails. It's a very structured, comprehensive, and rights-centric regulatory approach.
That's a very structured and proactive approach from the EU. Are there specific initiatives in the U.S. that mirror this drive for regulation and ethics, even if the overall philosophy is perhaps more market-oriented? Is anything happening there?
Yes, absolutely. While the U.S. doesn't have a single law like the EU AI Act, there are important initiatives. The White House released the blueprint for an AI Bill of Rights back in 2022. This isn't a law, but it outlines 5 key principles aimed at guiding the design, use, and deployment of automated systems across the country.
What are those principles?
Briefly, ensuring input from impacted communities during AI development, actively avoiding algorithmic discrimination, giving individuals meaningful control over their data privacy, notifying people clearly when an AI system is involved in making significant decisions that affect them, and providing human alternatives or opt-out options, especially when AI is used in critical contexts like employment or benefits.
So, set of guidelines. Anything else?
Additionally, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, released its AI Risk Management Framework, AI-RMF, in 2023. This is a comprehensive, voluntary framework, not mandatory law, designed to help organizations of all sizes manage the risks associated with AI and improve the trustworthiness of their AI products and systems. NIST has even released a specific generative artificial intelligence profile as part of the RMF to help organizations identify and mitigate the unique risks posed by Gen AI technologies like LLMs.
So voluntary frameworks and principles are the main U.S. approach for now.
These initiatives, while voluntary or non-binding policy statements, clearly signal a growing recognition within the U.S. government and industry of the need for responsible AI practices and governance, even if the regulatory path differs from the EU's. The conversation is definitely happening.
It's clear that while the specific approaches differ globally, state-led, market-driven, rights-focused, the shared underlying push towards responsible AI development and effective governance is gaining significant momentum everywhere. Okay, finally, let's talk about C, building trust, the foundation for a fearless future. It truly sounds like trust is the ultimate currency, the essential ingredient in this whole AI era. How do we as individuals and as a society actively contribute to building that crucial trust, not just for ourselves, but for widespread adoption and ensuring a more beneficial future for everyone?
This is precisely where critical thinking, demanding transparency, and active engagement become absolutely essential, especially in a world increasingly saturated with AI-generated information and decisions. By being an informed user, by questioning outputs, and by actively demanding transparency from the organizations deploying AI, you directly contribute to cultivating a more trustworthy AI landscape overall.
And why is trust so fundamentally important here?
PwC's research makes this connection abundantly clear. If users, meaning individuals, consumers, employees, businesses, don't fundamentally trust AI systems, they simply won't be adopted at scale, especially not for important tasks. And if they're not adopted, their full, potentially transformative potential for good will remain unrealized.
Is there an economic dimension to this trust?
Definitely. PwC projects that the positive impact of AI on global GDP could potentially increase by a substantial 15% if AI successfully earns widespread trust and adoption across sectors. However, with lower levels of trust, leading to slower or more hesitant adoption, the economic benefits would be drastically lower, potentially only around 1% GDP growth attributable to AI.
So trust isn't just a nice to have.
This data starkly illustrates that trust isn't just a soft qualitative metric. It's the hard quantitative foundation upon which all the promised economic and societal benefits of AI are ultimately built. Without that trust, we simply lose out on the immense potential upside.
So what exactly makes AI trustworthy in this context? When we talk about trustworthy AI, what are the key elements we should be looking for or demanding from developers and deployers?
Based on frameworks from KPMG, PwC, and others, several interconnected elements consistently underpin trustworthy AI. It involves the responsible and ethical deployment of AI systems, how they're actually used in the real world. It requires the establishment of clear and robust governance frameworks within organizations, and it depends on actively fostering both public trust and organizational trust through consistently transparent practices.
And the results.
Fundamentally, it's about consistently ensuring high-quality, reliable, and ethically sound results from the AI system. When an AI system consistently demonstrates fairness, low bias, maintains clear accountability for its actions, operates sustainably, and offers appropriate levels of explainability or transparency in its operations, hitting those core ethical considerations we discussed earlier, it naturally cultivates and builds trust over time.
It's a continuous process.
It's a continuous cycle. Ethical design and responsible deployment leads to trustworthy performance, which builds user trust, which enables wider adoption, which in turn fuels the realization of AI's beneficial impacts. You break that cycle anywhere, and the whole thing falters.
That makes perfect sense. So wrapping this all up for our daily lives, what are some final actionable tips to help build this crucial trust, both for ourselves and our interactions with AI and for the broader AI ecosystem? How can we be part of the solution?
Okay, 4 key things. First, actively question AI outputs. Challenge any biases or inaccuracies you observe. Don't just be a passive recipient of AI's decisions or information. Be an active, critical participant in the process. Provide feedback when systems allow it. Second, actively support companies and products that explicitly prioritize ethical AI development, demonstrate transparency in their data practices, and have clear accountability mechanisms. Your choices as a consumer, as an employee, as an investor send a powerful market signal about what values matter. Third, understand your rights regarding data privacy and how AI-driven decisions might impact you, particularly under laws like GDPR or specific sectoral regulations. And exercise those rights when necessary. Know how to request explanations or corrections.
And finally,
encourage open, honest dialogue about AI's societal impact, both the good and the bad, in your workplace, your community, and among your friends and family. The more informed, engaged, and discerning we all are, the better we can collectively steer AI towards a future that truly benefits everyone equitably, rather than just amplifying existing power structures or creating new harms.
Fantastic. So we've really taken a deep dive today into the fascinating, sometimes quite daunting world of AI risks and opportunities. We've talked about everything from how algorithmic bias can inadvertently creep into systems impacting fairness,
A critical issue.
to the massive nuanced shift happening in the job market, and crucially, how we can adapt and potentially thrive within it by focusing on skills and agility. We've seen the incredible potential of AI to help solve some of our most pressing global challenges, but also the serious pitfalls and the absolute need for thoughtful navigation if we don't proceed with extreme caution and clear ethical intention.
It's a complex balancing act.
It really is. And I think the biggest takeaway from this entire deep dive, for me at least, is this. AI isn't some passive, unstoppable force just unfolding around us like the weather. Its future, for better or for worse, is actively being shaped right now by the choices we make today.
Our actions matter.
As individuals, as professionals, as consumers, as citizens, as a society, you, the listener, have the power to influence this trajectory by staying informed, like you're doing right now, by developing those uniquely human soft skills alongside critical AI literacy, and by demanding ethical, trustworthy AI from the companies and governments that develop and deploy it.
That demand is crucial.
Embrace lifelong learning. Cultivate those irreplaceable human skills like communication, empathy, critical thinking, and creativity. Stay agile in your career. As LinkedIn CEO Ryan Roslansky so rightly puts it, you have the chance to apply these incredible tools to solve pressing global challenges from climate change to healthcare. It's really about being proactive, not reactive, in shaping this technology's future.
And remember, beyond just individual adaptation, the importance of that robust governance and the cultivation of trust cannot be overstated. The data from PwC showing the GDP impact hinges on trust really highlights that.
Yeah, it was striking.
By being a discerning user, by advocating for transparency and accountability, and by supporting ethical development practices, you're actively contributing to building a future where AI genuinely enhances human capability, prosperity, and well-being, rather than diminishing it or creating divides. It truly is a shared responsibility, and your informed participation is a powerful force within that.
Absolutely. So, as you go about your day after listening to this, consider this maybe provocative thought. If AI truly does make workers more valuable and more productive, as some of these reports now definitively suggest,
And the early evidence points that way.
and it enables us to offload more of the mundane, the repetitive, the administrative tasks, allowing us to focus on higher value, more creative, more strategic work. What new, previously unimagined forms of creativity, innovation, scientific discovery, or even deeper human connection will you pursue with this newfound cognitive freedom? How will you use this liberated time and this enhanced capability to perhaps redefine what it means to be human and what we could achieve in an increasingly AI-powered world? Something to think about.
A powerful question for the future.
We encourage you to share your thoughts on this deep dive. What stood out to you? What questions do you still have? You can do that in the comments section below on Reading Cowboys YouTube channel. We'd love to hear from you. Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep shaping a fearless, responsible future with AI.